to make a little video about the changes to the K-9 math program of studies. It's not a new curriculum. It's called clarifications is the term. There were some clarifications last year. These are further clarifications that it really looks at how basic facts are included in the curriculum, how they're addressed. And these are some good pieces to communicate with parents, because this has been a big public concern. And one of the reasons that Alberta Ed has made these clarifications to the program of studies. So it is the K-9 program of studies that has the clarifications, but it's also good for the 10, 11, 12 high school math teachers to know what changes are being made with the students that are coming at them. So I have a couple of links here. So what I will do is, in the comments for the video, put links to all these different documents so that you have them together. So it's good to have those in one place. The administrators all saw these at the end of June, but this way it can be accessible to anyone and everyone. So this was shared to me by the Alberta government, and I have two links around it. I have one kind of that's a PDF, and then this one's a CAMI file, and it has my comments on it, just notes that I actually took as the Alberta Ed presenter was going through these different slides. So there are two curriculum documents. So it's always good to know. So there's the Math Kindergarten to Grade 9 document. You can find that on the website. You'll see it is from 2007, updated 2016. There's this one too. So I always call it the portrait and the landscape version. I really like the landscape version. And this is fully approved curriculum document, but you can see the difference in the two. It has all the front matter, but the one that's actually in landscape has the achievement indicators. And a lot of the changes that have come have actually been moving some things that were in curriculum outcomes to the achievement indicators. As you can see, the front matter there, and there are a few changes in front matter, which I'll point out. So these ones just have the specific outcomes, which is good, but I really like this one because it has the achievement indicators. So it looks at indicators that may be used to determine whether students have met the corresponding outcome. So I always look at it as more detail, or it helps clarify for me as a teacher what some of these things are and what I really need to dig into to prove and to show that these students have met those outcomes. So just so you know that there's two different documents there. They are the same outcomes in the end, but it's just good to know what you're looking at and what you're using. So there were 2014 clarifications, as I mentioned. There were some things around the actual number, facts, and strategies, but this actually moves some of the pieces of the outcomes into achievement indicators. So instead of just changing expectations, it's actually making changes to the curriculum document. Some major definitions. These are Alberta Ed definitions when we actually look at what they're looking at. So what is a number fact? What is mastery? What is recall? And what is a strategy? These are sometimes really good things to look at and to really understand what they mean by these terms when we're looking at the curriculum documents. All right, this is kind of the big overview of the number facts expectations as we move through the different grades. This is a really great one to share with parents when they say, why aren't we learning basic facts, or what basic facts are we learning? This is a really helpful thing to even have to print it out at parent-teacher interviews so they can see how the progression and where students should be at. So it's a really nice one-page summary of all the different basic facts and how it moves through the progression in different years. So this is a really great one to share with parents, to put in class newsletters. This graphic is a nice one to share. So 2016 clarifications. You're going to see the removal of the such as's. So there used to be, especially around the facts, you'll see things like such as, and then it gave specific strategies. And sometimes those strategies were confusing because it gave so many options. We didn't know exactly which ones were more important, and it didn't really clarify that each student doesn't have to know every strategy. With this whole list of strategies, it really got to be overwhelming for the students in terms of how am I actually looking at these different things. So I'm going to actually look at some changes in the front matter. So when we actually look at the front matter, So instead of strategies may include the traditional algorithm, strategies including traditional algorithms. So where it used to be the traditional algorithm was one strategy, they're overtly saying teach the traditional algorithm. And there is clarification on what the traditional algorithm is in just a moment. The other thing that's really neat is from grade 4 to 9, what they did was there's some outcomes that have the scaffolding outcomes. So there may be a grade 9 outcome with 3 outcomes underneath, and it may show a grade 5 outcome, a grade 6 outcome, a grade 8 outcome. And it's the outcomes that the students need to know in order to learn that grade 9 outcome. So there's really great pre-assessment opportunities to see, okay, if I'm doing this order of operations, I have to know this, this, and this before I can teach this one. So it's a really great way to do some formative assessment to see if the student's ready for that outcome, or if they're struggling. When you look at a summative assessment, you can look at the specific supporting outcomes to see which ones they're struggling with. So there's not new outcomes in, say, grade 4 to 9, but it does show some of the previous grades outcomes, which I thought was really, really useful. So this is an example of the removal of a such as. So here's mental math strategies, and here's a bunch of such as. They're now over here in the achievement indicators on the landscape version. I really like this too. It actually clarifies 9 plus 9 instead of just 18 so the number facts ones are in the boxes. So if an outcome is in a box, it doesn't mean it's less important. It actually means it's more important. So those are important ones to have. So you can see some of these changes. Here's an example of one of the things I was talking about in terms of the supporting outcomes. So this outcome, addition and subtraction of decimals in grade 4, they have to know this grade 3 outcome in order to do that. Excellent. So it really helps us understand what the supporting outcomes are in different ones. So in grade 4, I would go back, if I was teaching this, and check this grade 3 outcome to make sure all my students were there. And if they're not, some pre-teaching to get there. Some may be there, some may not, as it always goes. As you can see in grade 9, there's more supporting outcomes. So it traces it back kind of through the different grades. What are the supporting skills to apply the order of operations, including exponents? Please remember that when you have that T symbol, you can do it with technology. You don't have to. Sometimes when people see that T symbol, they think, oh, I have to use technology. It's with and without. So yes, you should use it. So yes, they can use a calculator. They don't have to use a calculator. You should probably do it both ways, is what that T indicates. So I really like this one, including the standard and traditional algorithms. So yes, teach a lot of those strategies. The such as's have been moved over to achievement indicators. Absolutely. But we need to include the standard and traditional algorithm. One of those things that parents really asked for, and the provincial government's been responding to that. So talks a lot about strategies here. So there are some supporting documents, and these actually click through, especially on the PDF, the PDF version over here. Remember, there'll be links to all of them. So I'm going to scroll down to this. So these are actually links. So there are actual documents here that show what the traditional algorithm should be, which is really, really nice. Okay, they're not linking through, but I will make sure I add the links in the video underneath it. So these are actual Alberta Ed documents that show us what the actual, when they say standard traditional algorithm, most of us know what that means, but it's good to just double check that what you have in your head is the traditional outcome. There we go. There's an example of it linking through. So then it'll take you over to the Alberta Ed site and do a fact sheet on what those traditional algorithms are. Another good one to share with parents, especially in a parent-teacher interview kind of scenario. So, additional support resources. There's some links to some things reminding us that there's stuff on Learn Alberta. This is the Alberta Ed website, the new one, for better or for worse. All of the things I've been referring to are here. So when it looks at achievement indicators and all those different things in the updates, there is some really great information there, and just wanted to let you know. So there's a PowerPoint version of what I've just been talking through to let you know that they're there. And the other interesting piece is May, June 2017, the grade 6 math PAT will have a number operations component. So kind of like the old grade 3 facts, there will be a grade 6 fact. So thank you for listening, and good luck with math.